This is 894 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. This week's Arukh HaShulchan Yomi is sponsored for a schus, for Hatzlacha and Shiduchim. It should be a schus, and it should be Hatzlacha. Today we are doing Siman Tuf Kuf Pei Vav, Sif Lamed Dalid, and finally getting to Tuf Kuf Pei Zayin, Hashem to Sif Hey. Lamed Dalid. So this is talking about if a shofar is unavailable on Rosh Hashanah. We said in the previous sif that Yisrael can't really do anything about it. But by Yisrael, that's by a Jew. By any Yehudi, by a non-Jew, Mutzah Asos Kol Davar, Shei Yisrael, they were saying allowed to do anything which is only Yisrael Rabbanan. That was Shvus, the Shvus, Makam Mitzvah Mutzah. It's the Rabbanan, Amir Akum, Ana the Rabbanan, whatever it is we're dealing with, and Makam Mitzvah, it is permitted. Mishbur says, according to this, it's possible that even where he has a shofar, but it's not a ram's horn, so it's not muhudar, that's permitted to bring a shofar of a ram by a non-Jew because of that hidden mitzvah. But it's the rice also lomar lo lasos, but it's the rice you can't tell him to do for you. They bring a shofar. Feel feed for Rabbeinu Ramah El Siman Reisha and Vav. According to Ramah, who said back in Hilchos Shabbos, the Dovah Gadol Yitir Amir, I feel the rice and Sham, that if it's a major issue, so Amir Laka was mutter even by the Raisa. Come mitzvah sheval tasa lo yitiru, by mitzvah where you are told, where you can it's refraining, so then they do not matir. Vodagam misham lo kaim lo kain kamosh kosav sham. The Arukh HaShulchan, of course, we've mentioned this several times, does not hold like that. Ramah, the Shitas Arukh, even though the Mishnah Berurah evidently does. But you can tell a non-Jew to do this to the Rabbanan. I go up in a tree, or go outside the Tchum, have a shofar, and bring the shofar. It's only, however, outside 2,000 amos, not outside the 12 mil. The Dasi of Aram, the Tchum and Beis Mil, otherwise, according to the Rif and the Ram, hold that 12 mil is Tchum Daraisa. The Abshad of Bezei Smoch, or Rova Poskin, Gam Zahavid Rabbanan. However, it's possible to rely on, you can even rely on most poskim hold that the 12 mil is the Rabbanan, and do Amir Lakum for that too. It became your acre. And he says, you see, that's in Arukh HaShulchan, having inclined to basket away. He says that, Eliyah Rabbi also says that. But that, it's from the post, not distinguished between the first and second day. It seems like even the second day, when it's only the Rabbanan, Yehudi allows to the Rabbanan is still allowed to tell a non-Jew to miss the Rabbanan for your procuring a shofar. Came Yom Rishon Mutters is burned down. First day Mutter Yom Sheni Gankein. They also extend that to the second day. The Sov ain't El Shvus the Shvus, because the final analysis is the Rabbanan and the Rabbanan. Lo Gazer Makom Mitzvah. They did not answer that Shvus the Shvus in a place where you can do a mitzvah. Filu mitzvah he the Rabbanan. Even the mitzvah is only the mitzvah the Rabbanan. Lo Gara may have say Lo Gazer Chaygavna. It's no worse than have say, where the person will sustain the law. So also a matter Shvus the Shvus. Here you lose the mitzvah the Rabbanan. The bracket says here, "V'chein Rav David Marashal b'tshuva siman alv miyad Eliyah Rabba." So it's a gam game bezeh. It seems that that's what Marashal says, and he's astounded Eliyah Rabba is not clear about this. Lamed hey, b'im ein Yehudi asah me'atzom malacha gemur. If the non-Jew did on his own volition, on his own initiative, absolute malacha, the raisa, kon shasah as a shor b'yantzah, such he made the shor b'yantzah. Mutter the kabo, you're allowed to blow in it. Habi shasah b'shul yisrael, even though he did it before the Jew. Blow down ein Yehudi shasah b'shul yisrael b'shabbos yontif. It's not like a normal case where a non-Jew does a malacha for a Jew on Shabbos Yom Tov. Also, Yisrael Yishtamish where the Jew can't use it. The B'Sham Yishnei Tamid. There are the two reasons. Shelo Hiyanem Malacha Shabbos Yom Tov, not to have Hanoah from malacha done on Shabbos Yom Tov. Gam Shem Yomar Lo Sos Shelo. Also, might tell him next time to do it for you. B'Shav Lo Shachzeh. B'Shav is not relevant. The Ein Kan Hanoah. There's no pleasure. Mitzvah Slav has to do because mitzvah is not considered to be pleasure. Also, we don't make a gzer unless you come to tell him to do this for you a different time. Let me make such a decree where there is something where there is pleasure or benefit. So we're afraid that you're going to cut corners for your pleasure. Where there is no pleasure, just a mitzvah. Why would he do an Aveira in order to fulfill a mitzvah? So therefore, We're not choshish. Not concerned that might come to tell him a different time. Lavav, I'm dumb. However, Zelk Shasai Yehudi Shover Me'ayil Shalo. So the non-Jew made the shover his own ram, again his own horn. Thank God it's a muktzah. There's no it's a muktzah day muktzah b'shayin Yehudi. There's no muktzah for property which belongs to a non-Jew. What's happened with simulation base? Ba'akav Dizel Ganki Nolad. It's Nolad because the shofar didn't exist in its form at Erev Yontif. Ganki Nolad Kamuvam, but no also feel shein Yehudi, and Nolad is also even by some which is not belongs to non-Jew. Because the simulation chav hey. B'zeh yeshli smoke. And this one can rely on a poskim, rely on the poskim material Nolad B'Yontif, who permit Nolad on Yontif. Which because the simon tough tzadi hey. And that is about Tani evidently. Avoim also a shofar beyond the current Yisrael, but he made the shofar yontif from a Jew's horn. Also in kobo. You can't use it for the shofar. Shebein hashmoshes loya royal kobo because it's the twilight. It was not suitable to blow in. Since it was set aside for twilight, is katzay l'chulei yoyma. Set aside the entire day. It can't be used. For to have a nolad also tatlo kadei kobo. Also, it's nolad, and I just said we're maker by nolad by yontif, but I guess this. I'm not sure why he seems to be reversing course in this. And now it's carrying in order to blow it. I see. Okay, because now he's in the brackets about graz cost of sheish moment here no beyontif. About tiny who just quoted before said to rely. You can rely on those who match no beyontif. Came Mashma Magen Avram. Seems that Magen Avram was the same thing. But Tzarchindo Muksa Gan came Ben Hashmashos Miglis Katzoy. So basically, he's saying, yeah, no light maybe get around, but the Muksa Ben Hashmashos Miglis Katzoy is a problem. A long Mishnah Bura comment here. Mishnah Bura says if he doesn't have, they don't have any other shofar whatsoever, you can lie in the post and allow no let yontif and blow the shofar in order not to negate the mitzvah to say, and you can use it even on the second day. As long as you're holding it in your hand, you're allowed to blow all the kiyos based on our minute of whatever it is, 100 kolos. But if you blow the minimum sheer kiyos and you put the shofar down from your hand, you should not pick it up again in order to do kiyos which are just custom. Sharatir writes in the name of Sefer HaShalom that it's not called nolad no matter what. Mishmuro says that the Achronim say that all the shofars which are possible to blow in, they're possible both on the first day and the second day, not like Lulav where they're coolest the second day. Lamed Zayin, Yochel L'tein B'toch HaShofar Mayim Chometz or Yain. You put inside the shofar water or vinegar or wine in order to polish it. Sheit Chaya Feh, so you should blow well. It's not to be fixing the shofar. Just like icing on a cake to make it a little bit better. To polish it with urine is also even a weekday because it's inappropriate. Bracket says here, the room also tatlo lachutz. If it was brought from outside the tchum, you're not allowed to carry it outside the shul. It can only be carried inside the shul. Tavkuf Pei Zayin, Makam Aroy Lichkobo, a place where it's appropriate to blow. Alpha Mitzvah Lishmo Kol Shofar, the mitzvah is to hear the sound of the shofar. Klamar Tkios Kmoshe Mamish, Tkios as they are. Shema Kol Avor Bam, have you heard it? Just an echo, Kol Shet Nokel Mababor, such as where the person blowing stood in a well. Vosa Shema El Aretz, and the person stands on the ground level, Chutz Labor, outside the well. Eno Shema El Kol Avor, only hears an echo. Afilu Shema Kol Avor Im Kol Shofar, even hears an echo together with a bond of the authentic sound. Shofar Lo Yatsa. It's not fulfills an obligation. The kom above with the sound that's mixed up, echo, straight sound and echo. The answer goes shofar. It's not the sound of a shofar. Somebody blows into a well or tochadus into a dugout or tochapitam, another type of excavation. You call shofar yishama yatsa. If you hear the sound of shofar yotze, kol avar shema lo yatsa. If you hear the echo, you are not yotze. Brings them Rashi Chav Chesdi, but I'm asking Kavar Mevura, the Kola Shofar and Kavar Lo Yatsa. Rashi makes it clear that the mixture of the two kolos doesn't make it any better. This is a problem also inside a shul very often when the acoustics are such that there's an echo, such as from a dome or such like. You have to make sure to blow in a place where there is no echo. base. And Farshik Mar Loshan Losam Dimas Vasabor. That's only the people on the rim of the well. Osam Dimas Vasabor, those who stand inside the well. Yotsu, they're Yotze Ansham, because they're not hearing an echo. Rashi Baramam Perakav Haki Perusha. According to Rashi Ramam, this is what it means. Say the Shabor, Shomei Tamiko Shofar. They always hear the sound of the shofar. People in the bar. Only Asvasabor, people on the rim of the well, if I'm Shomei Kom Shofar. Sometimes they hear the sound of shofar, V'yotsu, and they Yotze. Sometimes they hear an echo, Im Kol Shofar, with the sound of shofar. Lo Yotsu. Not Yotzi. Zoshan Rambam so Perakafa Shulchan Sif Aleph. Hatokei b'toch habor b'toch hamor. Somebody who blows into a well or into a cave. Osam omni machu b'toch habor v'hamor. Yotzu, people stand inside the well or the cave. Yotzi. Omni machu, those stand outside. Kol shofar shom, if they hear the sound of shofar, they yotzi. Bim kavar yom shom, if they hear the echo, lo yotzu. They're not yotzi. Chen tokei talk about b'ay chavis gedoyla v'chetzim zeh. Somebody who blows into a large jar. Obviously reverberates and causes a echo. Im kol shofar shama yatsa. If you hear the sound of shofar yatsa, if you call vara shama, you hear the echo. Lo yatsa kan l'shono. You know, in that case, not yatsa. And even somebody who was standing inside this large jar is not yatsa. The chaviyot chol yatsa kom murava, because when you're standing inside that large jar, the sound can get mixed up. Gamlon in even where people standing inside it. As opposed to a well or a dugout. A dose is the structure underneath the ground. If most of it is built above the ground, even though some is built inside the ground, so it's like a house. I'm not sure how that helps you, because the question whether there's an echo or not. So I don't know exactly how it helps you. In fact, it would be like a house. Mishabura brings down the opinion that those are the people who are standing inside that jar are Yotze. But since people don't normally get into a jar, like as opposed to getting into a well or hole, they just normally people just put the shofar inside the jar and blow, and the people stand outside the jar. So therefore, the Mechaber did not distinguish. Shulchan Aruch not distinguish and say the people inside the jar are Yotze. Biur Halacha says that if the lower place is covered, then it's separate. It's problematic. Only if it's connected and joined together with the house, then it would be okay. But if the place blowing is covered in boards, so it's quite possible you'll hear an echo. It's like blowing in a cellar. And even if it's not covered, it's possible that if it's not it's possible it's it's not so deep. But if it's very deep, it's possible it doesn't work. The fact that part of the structure is above ground, it's archean. Again, you just have to check it out, see if there's an echo or not. The Rosh asks about this thing that the people standing on the edge of on the rim of the pit, they sometimes hear the shofar and sometimes the echo. He writes, I don't know how you can distinguish whether it's sound of shofar or the sound of an echo. Doesn't seem that it should have to do with how a person can distinguish. That's to do with the depth of the well and your proximity to it, because it's shear. Everything this requires a measurement. So Rosh says this is what it means. The Osan Omni is faster by people on the rim of the pit. Lolam ain't shomim rak kolavar. They have heard partly kol shofar. Why aren't they yotze? So he says they're only hearing the echo. Most of them bar tamid shem kol shofar. People inside the pit only hear always the sound of the shofar v'yotzu, and they are yotze. Mr. Brewer says, not sure this is. I'm not sure what he's saying here. It seems, I don't know. There seems to be something wrong with this note, so we're going to skip it. In brackets, he says, Arukh HaShulchan says the brackets one for reshes the zesh b'mishnah omer im kol chulei ain't a tonight. It's not a condition. Halachi perusha, but this is what it means. Im kol shofar sham goramdim babor yotzu. If you hear kol shofar, that like those who stand in the well yotze. In kol var sham hainu osam mechutz labar lo yotzu. So you hear a kol havara like those outside the bor, you're not yotzi. So according to the way he understands the Gemara, it's not right like the Rosh, because the Rosh is saying it's an absolute. People inside the bor hear the kol shofar. People outside the bor hear the kol havara. The Arukh HaShulchan is learning that it's that is the normal condition, but not necessarily absolutely the case. The Torah Paskins, Homer Bora B'Chavetz Kosam, stands in a well or a large jar, the Tokea, and he blows, the Shoma Acher Machutz, and other people here outside. Lo Yitzur not Yotze, Shein Shamil Kol Avar, they're only hearing an echo. Avu Atzmo Yotze, he himself is Yotze Akan L'Shono. Haresh Kol Kayo, he made a general principle. Kol Me B'Chutz, anybody standing outside, Lo Yitzur is not Yotze, I feel B'Amid Somach Labor, even if he was standing next to the well. But maybe says to Levi Cloud Deazu, but he says he's not bring this down. Rambam Mishnah Bagmara Mor Lahedya Krashi Rambam. That it's each case is subjective. Mashiksha Rosh Mav Choneyesh, that which Rosh asks how you can distinguish. Tirei Sifra Godel Beis Yosef answers called them Yochel Avchin Zeim Kol Kol Shofar Kol Avara. People can distinguish if it's sound shofar or sound an echo. Ayin Shom. V'lin Lo Osi B'Zeh. Arukh HaShulchan says I want to add to this. The Yesh B'Zeh Bir Gomer. There's complete clarity here. The Nei Rashi Pirushin Kol Avara Shama and Kol Shofar. If you heard the sound of an echo together with the sound of the shofar, lo yatsa ayin sham. My boy Rashi said, what is Rashi adding with this? It doesn't mean, so he says, it means to teach us that the intention here is not that he hears just an echo, without distinguishing at all that this is the sound of a shofar. The Pshita is the klum, that's certainly nothing. The kol havara hu shishama, that's the kol havara hu shishama kol shofar of a little bit more. The echo he defines here as not a true echo, which would be, of course, meaningless, but rather it's something where you hear the sound of shofar, but it's distorted. Chachach the shli gitin shishama shel place this kachel plenty isasham lo shishamu kol havara. Like we find in a case at the end of Gittin, when where it says that they heard that Reuven married Sarah, and it says there it should not be a kol havara. What do you mean, not to be an echo? But there it means it has to be clear. And there was dokos, there were candles burning, mitos mutzos, and there were the couches made. Echo is not going on the what you're hearing. But in the clarity. Also, there's several types of tkiyos. Find out tkiyos called pasha. Tkiya itself is a simple blast. The shvarim and kol shvarim are broken blasts. The trua yule yalel, and trua is like a sobbing. So if you hear the sound of shofar, mibli irvu vakolos, without any mixing of the sounds. Shemat tkiya kederach tkiya, you hear tkiya like a tkiya, but shvarim kishvarim, but trua kitrua, that's okay. Avakom murvav, but it gets mixed up, it's confused. Lo yishama bevira apratim. Pure pratim won't hear the nuances and details. But just like one glob of sound, that is a problem. So that's an unclear sound, then anybody can distinguish that. Brackets here says sometimes he's going to lift his head out of the pit and it's going to get mixed up, the sounds. So we see even right adjacent to the pit, or the sounds get mixed up. Low kosher cloud, it's not difficult. Adarabba, contrary. Zekuv Kamash is exactly what's going to tell us. The low marve kala nimnes michosa. It does get mixed up because of the proximity. Well, low marve kala nimnes michosa. The sound does not get mixed, confused because of the proximity, which prevents it getting confused. It doesn't mean that sometimes it goes out if the sound appropriately v'nigzor, and we should make a decree kamashal lo logos in. That tells you to make a zera. Afilu mapik leis lomba, even if it I'm sorry. Sometimes it doesn't mean that sometimes he's going to pick up his head, which would be goizer, the less he can pick up his head. Kamashla and Logazina, and therefore has to tell him we're not goizer. Even if it picks up his head, it's not a problem, as long as the sound is clear. Also, there's no comparison to somebody who's standing from beginning to end outside. The Kambibnei who know me abor. Here, the problem is that he himself is vibrating in and out of the pit. Arvev Kala, that in and of itself confuses the sound of a duke. So, Arukh HaShulchan leans to, says really that Hakol is not a true echo sound. That's partially not Yotze, but it's where the sound itself becomes confused or mixed up. Hey, just so we said, the law of somebody where the person blowing is in the pit and the person blowing is outside the pit. It's also the opposite. If the blower is outside the pit, and the person inside listening is inside the bar, the tur yotza. According to tur, not yotze, because it's absolute. Rambam totally. Rambam depends. What did he hear? Did he hear the shofar or the echo or the unclear, the confused sound? As we've explained. Yes, and some say the chaykam b'chuliyama yotza. Some say you definitely yotze. The kshathia b'bor, when they're blowing in the well, mizbabel kol lo mechutzla. Then it kind of sounds confused when outside it. But when you're blowing outside the well, I feel the sound does not become confused, even for those who are standing inside the well.